Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is set to include over 8 new characters in this story by director J.J. Abrams that will be primarily used in a way in order to benefit many of the legacy characters and some of the sequel trilogy characters like, of course, Rey and Kylo Ren. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So, what's really intriguing about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is going to be used as a way in order to tie all the 9 movies together into one big movie. And the great thing about all of this is that we do know that Episode 9 is going to introduce new characters that are going to be used in a sense to move many of the characters forward from start to finish. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting. Now, specifically, a description of one of the scenes based in the third act of the film, where it's described to take place on a large battlefield in front of the First Order headquarters, where the Resistance and Maz Kanata's pirate army are fighting against the Red Fury troopers, as well as the Jump Troopers. It's said that Kylo and his Knights of Ren are seen on the battlefield, where some of the Knights have shields on them protecting the other Knights. Kylo is described to be using his crossguard lightsaber against many of the Resistance soldiers and striking them down into the mud. The next describes an older female Togruta next to Maz Kanata, where the character is codenamed AT and appears to be an older Ahsoka Tano. It's said that one of the scenes involves the AT character running toward Kylo Ren and using the Force against him before Kylo is able to strike down Dominic Monaghan's character, who is a Resistance officer. The AT character is said to force push Monaghan's character out of the way, followed by her using a blaster against Kylo Ren, where Kylo is said to deflect one of the blasts at the AT character's leg, where she is eventually saved by Rey. The scene is described to be very brief, yet a moment in which AT saves one of the new characters and briefly fights Kylo Ren on the battlefield. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, we've been hearing about this character codenamed AT for the longest time now, and there's a lot of indicators that this is indeed Ahsoka Tano herself in live-action form, which would also make sense because we do know that J.J. Abrams and Dave Filoni, who is the showrunner of Star Wars Rebels and everything related to that show, have actually had a lot of discussions while J.J. was writing the script and while the rewrites were in place during November and December of just last year. So what do I make about all of this? Why would Ahsoka Tano, a Jedi of all people, just use a blaster on the battlefield? That I'm not quite sure of, but we do know that in the past we have heard that this AT character does indeed have a lightsaber prop piece on her hilt. Now, I want to go over this sequence. Now, this is said to be a moment on the battlefield in which the Resistance and Maz Kanata's pirate gang or pirate army, whatever have you, are going up against the Red Fury. The Red Fury, by the way, are the new Red Stormtroopers, who are really specialized by Kylo Ren and, of course, the Knights of Ren. Now, they're also going up against the Jump Troopers and the Mud Troopers on this battlefield, where eventually this AT character is said to step in to save Dominic Monaghan's character from being struck down by Kylo Ren's lightsaber. She uses the Force in order to force push Kylo Ren out of the way and begins to go into a standoff against Kylo Ren, where she uses a blaster against Ren, where Ren is able to deflect one of the blasts at AT's leg. Now, we've actually been going over this character, and this character is said to be an older female Togruta around the ages of her late 50s into the early 60s. Now, an actual Togruta is able to live longer than a human from what we have heard in canon material, so it's very possible that Ahsoka Tano is able to really, fight on the battlefield with ease, even though she's way older. Now, the thing about this, alright, is that we do know that J.J. Abrams is going to be connecting this movie to the prequels, the originals, and not just that, but it doesn't end there. They're also connecting it to Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, as well as the books, the novels, the comics. I digress. So this whole entire scene, based within the third act of the film, it really seems like it's going to be one of the moments in which it is indeed the all-out war and the war to end all wars. After all, this whole entire scene is based within the third act of the film. So John Boyega said this a long time ago, that Episode 9, it really is going to be a war to end all wars. And that really opens up a big question, right? Is this really going to be the last and final war conflict, chronologically speaking, in the Star Wars franchise within the Skywalker saga? Or are there going to be other war conflicts that take place in other regions of the galaxy that will be told by other creators, other directors and writers, however at the same exact time of it being placed after the events of Episode 9? That could be exactly how they're going to really treat the future of the Star Wars franchise for all we know. So, Ahsoka Tano, like I say, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars Rebels. I don't know if you guys agree, but I really do believe that she's up there with Ezra Bridger and other characters among them. And what I like about this is that it really does tie everything together into one big movie. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.